Hey everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
And I'm Bogz.
All right, we're finally here to talk about what is I know it's still early in the year, but what has been very much the show of the year for most people. That is Shogun, which was airing on FX and Hulu, or was a Hulu show produced by FX. Don't know, doesn't really matter. This is the show that was the adaptation of James Clavell's 1975 novel. It was previously adapted in 1980 into a 1980 miniseries starring, oh God, what was his name? Richard Chamberlain as John Blackthorne. Um, I'll tell you right now, loved the show, loved every episode, loved some more than others, but ultimately I don't think there was a bad episode in the bunch, which is a hard thing to say for most your modern day mini series. Boggs, what about you, man? What you think of this?
Yeah, quick disclaimer: I never watched the original Shogun
Never
series.
read the book, never saw the
Never read the
original.
book. Yeah, had no idea what the story was. So it was
Not a clue.
all new to me. The story was genuinely. I had no idea what was unfolding.
I know.
So it was like a new
I don't know if you were
series.
part. Did you join us for the Super Bowl trailer marathon that we did at the beginning of the
I
year?
did not know.
Okay, I know it was me and Soul. I forgot. I think somebody else did too, but I know we watched the trailer for this, and I was just like,
Mm.
"Yeah, it looks neat." I don't know what this is. I'll watch it
Yeah, to be
eventually.
fair, I have to give a recommendation to Sol. She
Yeah,
sent me the trailer and she said you need to watch this, and that's why I watched it. I thought I'll give it. I was impressed by the trailer.
yeah,
I thought
me
it
too.
looked really beautiful, and I was oh yeah, okay, this is something that I can get into, and fantastic show, really overall, particularly how um, well shot it is. Obviously, the music, the costumes, the sets, the location, all of that stuff. Um, yeah, art design. But the story was really compelling as well. It was a slow burn.
Mhm.
It is Game of Thrones esque. There's that is a fair comparison. A
I
medieval Japanese.
yeah, I pitched
Uh,
this to a lot of people as like Game of Thrones in feudal Japan
yeah,
with
yeah,
less
totally fair.
nudity, less
Yeah,
nudity.
yeah, less,
Not
not much.
none.
Yeah, definitely less. But yeah, I would also agree that there were, I think, two episodes were definitely duller for me. Like some of the episodes, some of the, a lot of episodes are slow, but they were really slow. There were two episodes actually where there was no action in the episodes, on top
Yeah,
of it being already slow show, and they were a little bit too, like kind of nonchalant for me.
yeah,
So there were a couple of duller episodes, but overall, I actually thought it was quite an educational thing for me. Like I'm not. I've seen obviously Japanese and samurai stories, but they're normally more kind of bounty hunter things, and they're like soul
yeah,
um, assassins or like for like they come from a long line of samurai. But this was like everyone is a samurai basically in the show,
yeah,
um, and yeah, it was an educational piece of that time in Japan. Um, Coming up against kind of Europeans or specifically Portuguese and clashes of cultures and religions as well and races. So yeah, it was like definitely I learned a lot about the show and yeah about Japanese way of life, um, about obviously Christianity and like I said other Europeans in that time in that place. It was fascinating for me for them to guys in Japanese to talk about Christianity and say like you believe Jesus is God to like other Japanese people. It
mhm.
was like I've never seen that before. Like I've never seen that before. Samurai talking about being Jesus like
Christian. Yeah,
before like yeah and like
yeah.
very recently in their lifetime.
Jesuit Japanese like is not
Yeah,
something I've ever seen before.
yeah, and like in their lifetime, or maybe a generation or two before, they would have never heard of Jesus, and now they're discussing, these guys taking over, and obviously, yeah, just learning about history
Yeah,
and everything around that, and obviously, the kind of star of the show being John Blackthorne. But actually, I take that back. The start of the show was Mariko,
Yeah, I was
basically.
about to say.
Anytime, okay, anytime I mentioned the word Shogun, the next line to that person saying, if they've seen it, would be,
Mariko-sama.
"Have you seen Mariko?" or "How sexy is Mariko?" or "How hot is she?"
Or
And
how
like that would
just how
how would be the
powerful, how
conversation about.
like every time she is on screen, it's just I only care about what she says and does and nothing
Yeah,
else.
no, it's honestly like fantastic casting. She did such a good job. She is definitely the standout of the show. Obviously, Blackthorn was cool as well, but like her,
Yeah,
like she's become like a superstar worldwide. Like honestly, like she and like I'm not using that as like a surface level thing. Like she's actually like so beautiful. Like she's like compelling to watch, and the way like
she's
she
not
walks
human.
and
That like that's
yeah,
AI generated a person
right,
right
yeah, yeah,
there.
and like just her outfits, and like it just makes you like
Yeah,
it's all a part of the attraction, and like how she entices Blackthorn really and everyone around her. Um, Although I will
yeah,
say that her storyline, the longer the show went on, I did have more and more frustrations with. Like
mm,
come like episode 9 or so, there was one specific episode. Um, like the episode, well, spoilers, right? The episode where she
yeah,
dies, that whole build up, I was actually a little frustrated with it because there is a lot of backstory that is hinted at, flashbacks, um, questions, mystery boxes around her and around her family and about what happened, and you don't really get a lot of the answers. I mean, they touch on it, but
mm,
you don't really get lengthy flashbacks, or it's not flushed out, or like all the issues with her husband. It's just not dealt with. It's like surface level stuff with her
yeah,
because it's she's surrounded in mystery. And I
yeah,
understand that's the intention of the show, but I would have liked more answers. Like, for example, I feel like with Blackthorn, his backstory was more flushed out, or like other characters basically, but just hers were just was so much mystery, and it did get a little tiresome for me
mm,
um, with just her whole character arc. But anyway, back to yeah, just the main summary. She is the absolute standout of the show. And obviously, Toranaga is great too, and Blackthorn and a host of other characters. But she was definitely the she yeah she's on everyone's lips. Put it that way.
yeah. I think yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I feel like with what you're referencing, it was similar to, and again, having not seen the original miniseries, having not read
Mm,
the book, cannot make that any more clear. Going into this totally blind,
yeah.
um, I think it was similar feeling that those of us who read the Harry Potter books felt when we watched the movies the first time, where it was like, this was explained better in the book, like, or like there's more to this, but you can only go into it so far because we're on a ticking clock with time limit, and so I feel like I agree with the things you're talking about. I'm like, there is so much more to her, and maybe going back on a rewatch, I'll feel a bit more happy with it. But just on the initial watch through here, where I was like, I still feel like I needed like there's the scene that sticks out in my head, which is the one between her and her son in the episode where she dies, where her son is very she and her son have a fight basically, and her son says like you're
Hmm.
not my mother, and walks away. I
Hmm.
was like,
Right.
all I could think in the back of my head was, I'd probably care about this a lot more if the last time I had seen this kid wasn't the first episode.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
I
like
forgot she had a son. I
I
totally forgot. And I was
honestly
like,
I
she
had
has a son?
forgotten. Every
Like,
week I just
oh
kept
man.
asking, "Where's her kid?
Yeah.
Where's her kid in all this?" Now
Yeah.
I think he was trapped back in Osaka. I
Mm.
could be wrong, but I think that was the case. But either way, I didn't really care that
Like, for
he was mad
example,
at her.
does Blackthorn know she has a son?
I don't know.
Yeah, and she spent what 9 episodes in direct contact with him, and
Yeah,
he has no idea she has a son. Like these things, like all the mystery around her for me
yeah.
isn't flushed out, and it was just adding to uh, quite a quite a bit of frustration, basically,
Yeah, and it was
by
it was just
by
be-
a
and it,
character.
honestly it was just because of how good the character was. I was like, oh, these things you've got about her are interesting.
Mm.
Can I get more?
Or
You
just
know?
answers, really.
Yeah,
that was probably the biggest criticism about the show for me.
Yeah,
Just her overall,
I'm with you.
uh, yeah, too many mystery boxes with her.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
again, I think it's one of those like I feel like if each of these, if they had made each of these episodes 2 hours, like a full blown movie, you probably could have done it. Um, but again, this is also the problem you take when you go from a book, which can be as long as you want it to be, a book that is loosely based on actual facts. Like I
mm,
show, like this story is loosely based on actual events.
mm,
Like all of these characters are based on actual people.
okay,
And like the character of Mariko is based on, I have it here, is based on someone known as Hosokawa Gracia. I am butchering pronunciations.
mm,
Who was who's while their fundamentals were different, like the events around their life and how things
right,
played out was very much the same. Same with Blackthorn's based on an actual guy. Toranaga is based on someone. So this is all based on actual events. It's
right,
just the names and dates and locations have been changed.
hmm
Uh, so, but I'm with you there, especially because like in those couple of episodes you talked about where they were a little bit slower. Us D&D fans like to call those role play episodes where it's like, yeah, we're not doing any combat today. Instead, we're doing character development. I'm like, cool. I'm
mm.
going to be here a while. I'm loving everything that's happening, but I've been here a long time.
Yeah,
Um, but I will say in the episodes that were without action, that were the role play episodes, everybody on screen is just chomping the scenery and fighting for control of every scene they're in. I mean, I don't think there was I had this was one of those shows where it's like you had to put the phone down, you had to pay attention because like
yeah, for sure.
it is
Mm,
mostly subtitled, which is great because then you can just be super invested in these performances.
hmm
But honestly, I didn't have a problem putting my phone down because every scene
yeah.
that was playing out on screen, I was in.
hmm you felt like every scene was a must watch for the story. Like if it wasn't Toranaga talking um, about his plans, then it was the other council guys plotting against Toranaga, or you'd get Blackthorn with his kind of watches him scheming with his consorts or with trying to get back to his ship. It was all jumping from scene to scene, location to location. All the characters were really good, interesting, and just seeing their way of life. Um, or having the Portuguese have their discussions and then being like kind of dipping in and out of cultures and um, yeah, and just the political nature of the show. Like, who knew I would have needed a show about ancient Japanese, a political ancient
Yeah,
Japanese samurai show. Um, yeah, and also I found it really, really compelling. Like, and I haven't seen too much just like movies or TV stuff about about I'm gonna say Europeans, um, not necessarily colonizing, but like just that period in history,
yeah.
where you know
When Europe was trying to
using
touch everything.
yes, and yeah, yeah, pretty much, and in the name often in of in the name in the name of Christianity,
Yeah,
and because I only know that through history, obviously documentaries, but I don't see it in movies, television, streaming,
yeah.
whatever. I just had not like I haven't seen too many
It's
stuff, things like that,
it's
and I
it's
do find that
similar.
stuff fascinating
It's
because,
similar
like
to
I
like
said,
we got with this Marvel. Go ahead.
these
I'm
guys
sorry.
have like an extensive, strong history being samurai warriors, etc., and how other people have infiltrated and use their doctrine against them. Like, for example, like for me, it was quite clear that all the Japanese who converted to Christianity had ulterior motives, whether if it was power, it was for money, it's for greed, it was for just survival. And I just found that obviously that's from a certain kind of perpendicular angle, which I understand, but I just found it interesting and seeing the Portuguese and how they using their specific powers to do other things like trying to get more land to more reach, like building churches in villages, um, not trusting some of the Japanese, and how like disrespectful they were to each other. They
Hmm.
both called each other um barbarians and brutal and um,
Savage.
yeah, savage, and like in a way, the audience at times were Blackthorn or going through or the eyes of Blackthorn because I'm sure at times people not of the Japanese culture at times would say these guys are like brutal, like ruthless, like chopping, killing themselves or like chopping hands off, whatever. But also at times you could understand them guys saying this guy's like a barbarian, he's like a pig at times. So yeah, it was just an interesting class of cultures, and
Yeah.
they didn't shy away from a lot of things. Yes, obviously, certain things are told from a certain perspective, but me personally, I understood all that. It was just nice to
Yeah.
see a different, a brave approach from a not too common or particular kind of source, and a bit of a unique story. And
Yeah.
Maneko Sama looked absolutely fantastic in every episode.
It
Just,
this
I just thought I'd say that again if I didn't
Well,
mention it before.
to go back to what you're saying with the educational stuff, like this show
Yeah,
did for me, for this chunk of time, and for these where the world was at this point, the same thing that like Ms. Marvel did for me, learning about like partition and the Pakistani
right,
culture
right.
like that.
Yeah,
Things that we learned from Echo about like the different kind of like the Choctaw culture, and like it's been I've seen The Last Samurai more times than I can count. I absolutely
right.
love that movie,
Yeah.
which the actor who plays Toranaga, I am not even going to try. Um,
It's
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Hanada, Sonada. That's it. Sonada.
Sanada,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. Sonada.
Um, he was in The Last Samurai, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was great in both. But but even that, The Last Samurai takes place in the 1800s. Like that's
Mm,
usually as far back as we tend to
mm,
go. Um, and when you talk about pitching a story for a primarily American streaming audience
yeah.
about a historical drama about the Japanese and the English and the Portuguese
Mm-hmm.
and the less than stellar side of Christianity, and you're going to do it with a Game of Thrones mentality in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like we're going to be as realistic as we're going to be. That's a hard sell.
Yeah.
But I also feel like in the last couple of years, especially since COVID, like audiences are more willing to see these kinds of stories told because they're starting to realize, yo, there's some really good stories here. We're tired of seeing we're tired of seeing the same different story of the Civil War. We're tired of seeing the same different story of World War II. We're tired of seeing the same story of King Arthur. Like let's see some other historical dramas, some other big stories from history that maybe the average person has. I've never heard anything remotely like what little I know about ancient Japanese culture I know
Mm.
from The Last Samurai.
Right. Right.
So like the cult the so to your point about like black both sides seeing each other as savages, in
Mm.
a way Blackthorn was there to be us,
Right.
and then Marco was there to explain everything to Blackthorn, and
Mm.
by proxy us. So it was
Yeah.
really a great way of teaching a teaching a character about the culture so you can teach the audience about the culture.
Yeah.
And the scene where they're talking about life and death, and she's like, we live, we die, like
Mm.
that's the truth. And he's like, yeah, but one's permanent.
Mm.
And it's that of like how both sides
Yeah.
think
They're
they
learning
have it
from each other.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both sides think they have it right, but both sides are also missing something. So
Yeah. No, why I'm laughing is because I just got a kind of flashback of
mhm.
a thought I had almost in every episode. It is very Pocahontas esque. Like he
Oh,
literally
totally.
feels like Jon Snow, and she's
Hmm.
Pocahontas, and they have their cultures, and
Yeah.
um, but their love brings them together, kind of thing. It is
You're not
a bit of
wrong.
a classic story
Well,
in that
but
time.
but see, now I've got to think about it.
Well,
Technic,
what I actually think I'll say everything you just described about that
yeah,
show. was spot on. But what the key is, and like, if you were to explain that, as you said, about it's tailored for American audiences, about Japanese, and the Portuguese and English in medieval Japan, let's say, I wouldn't necessarily watch that.
Hmm.
But when you see how amazingly it's shot, how it looks, the action is
Yeah.
underrated as well.
Oh,
The choreography, the effects for the most part were okay. I mean, sometimes some of the green screen is like, ooh, or
you do
like
what you
some of the
can.
effects, like
Yeah,
some of the earthquake stuff, are like, oh, I don't know, like
you
they
do what
could
you
have,
can.
but again, yeah, we can move past
Yeah,
that. That's not, yeah. Um, yeah, so, but how it, yeah, you're brought in from, and obviously the stories and the characters, like the
yeah.
side characters or the people that help Toranaga, and is it Ishida, the guy, from the, he's trying to take over his
Yoshida.
role in the council. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ishida, sorry. And is it Yashime? I'm just looking for his name.
The guy who was double teaming.
Yes,
Yabushida.
Tanaka. Yeah, yeah,
Yabushida.
sorry, yeah, yeah, yeah. He was great as well throughout, and
Oh
comical,
yeah.
like comic relief as well at times.
He was very little finger.
Yeah, yeah, he was, yeah. And I love my little finger.
Yeah, we all do.
Um,
We all love
yeah,
to hate him.
and even like love the small input from like his nephew or Toranaga's son that got killed. And I have to say as well, Toranaga was a fantastic character throughout. I was literally rooting for him
Yeah.
up until the last episode, which it just slowly crept in. That last episode,
Mhm.
I was just slowly realizing every 10 minutes or so, is this guy the villain? Like, have I just got this wrong? Have I been cheering for the villain the whole time? So they played that really well. I don't know if how that's how the original series was. I presume it was, but yeah, the whole message for me at the end of the story, well, not just the soul message, but a message,
Yeah.
is that um like obviously he was trying, like I know it's so obvious, but the story's called Shogun.
Hmm.
He is in control and manipulating people to be the Shogun. I mean, that's simply what the show
Yeah.
is. Like,
He
obviously we
admits it at
find that
the
out in
end.
the last. So yeah, yeah,
Right as Yabushiga's, he's like, you're about to die. I don't
yeah.
care.
Why should I tell a dead man the future or something? When he
Yeah.
asked him, was this all to be the Shogun? Um, yeah, yeah. So it's a what's the term? It's a like a bit of a warning for uh yeah, just
It's a
following.
cautionary tale.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the phrase. I was
Yeah.
thinking, what's the phrase? Yeah, it's a
Everyone's
cautionary
got a
tale.
motive.
Yes,
Everyone's
it's a
got a motive.
cautionary tale
Yeah.
about, yeah, about it's a cautionary tale about politics. That's what
Yeah.
it is about, following leaders that have ulterior motives, that
Yeah.
lie, that deceit, all of this
It,
stuff. So
it's about don't follow blindly.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Never always. I mean, there's so many lessons you can take away from
Mm,
this story about from a political and sociological
mm,
standpoint about like following leaders blindly, about
mm.
it, and also just that final shot of Toranaga looking out over the water as he ponders the fact that not only did he just absolutely play all of Japan, he
Yeah,
also just played the entire audience. Because in that
yeah,
moment, we as an
mm,
audience are realizing this guy's been playing us from episode one.
yeah,
And I've never been so proud to have the wool pulled over my eyes.
right.
Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and like just looking back at it, Monica Summer, she died for this cause. I forgot the guy's name, like the elder that performed. I forgot
Oh,
the that
crap on a cracker. I
killed
know you're
himself.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He did it for his sake. Knew
Hmm.
that, like, as in, like, he knew his duty for them to fall in line with him, etc. Um, yeah, so like this all happened under his watch, and it was his direct plan. And they talk about philosophical things like the wind, the water, the simplicity of their life, all about respect, about about uh, just like, yeah, just I guess just respect, whether if it's authority figures,
Hmm.
uh, that kind of society that they've built. And the whole time, because they're often pointing out to Blackthorn his barbarism and his horrible ways, and at the end you realize Toranaga's done the same. Like, he's lied, he's all
Yeah.
this respect thing. He's been a hypocrite throughout, and a lot of them have. So it's not that they don't come out unscathed in this. Obviously, they seemingly, they do earn. Again, that's all for me was an educational piece, like just to know their full extent from even the houses and
Hmm.
what they ate and how they lived their day to day life. I found that all super interesting. What they wore, and how like modern their lives were,
Hmm.
um, and
Seriously,
the
like
buildings, and yeah, like how intelligent they were.
I always
Uh,
wondered about the like why they chose to build their houses that way, and then for
mm,
for America to explain like we build them this way so we can take them down and build them easily and move because of
right.
the earthquakes. And I was like, that is
Mm,
so smart. That is
mm,
so smart. Because when they were like, give this guy a house and a land, I'm like, how are they going to give him a house?
yeah,
Oh, that's right. It's like
yeah,
IKEA. They just put it together.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
it's
and then they have all these
insane.
consorts that tailor to his every need.
And also, man, were they
Uh,
a sex positive culture? Where they're like, where like even Toranaga was like, just get him laid,
yeah, right.
just get him, and they're like, he's not into that, he's not, that's not a thing for him, and then Toranaga's like, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone's just so confused, like the head of the brothel like had real power in
yeah,
society, like
yeah,
it just man, they were ahead of their time.
yeah. Um, and even at the end with Toranaga talking about Blackthorn, like all of this that he's using him as a pawn. He's like, I don't even care about him. I find him funny. In the
Yeah.
end, in the end. So after all that, the whole show is built on Blackthorn earning his respect.
Hmm.
And in the end, he doesn't even care. He doesn't even care. It's all a facade to manipulate the situation, to
Yeah.
be the emperor, in effect, to be
Well,
the
you know what?
shogun.
You know what I think it is, and this just occurred to me. Here's what I think it is. I think that in a way that kind of to our point earlier about how like you got don't follow anybody blindly. I think it's also a testament to like we're none of it. Like you said it yourself. Like he did the exact same thing Blackthorn did. It's like yeah, that's their way of saying we're all the same. We're all full
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Because
agree.
Blackthorn straight up
Mm,
tells him, like, I have been lying to you since day one. I've been
mm.
feeding you crap, putting
Yeah, he
myself up
says it.
more than I actually am. And Torganaga's like, I don't care.
Mm.
Go pull your ship out of the water and build another one. And while you're at it, build me
Yeah,
some. Like,
and I'll
like
burn it
get
down
get
again,
over it. Yeah,
and I'll
he's
burn
like,
it
get
down
over
again.
it,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
and I'll have to
and
find a reason. Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
just kind of his way of just saying, like, yeah, yeah, Blackthorn, you're full of it. So am
yeah,
I. So is
yeah.
that guy. So is
Mm.
that. We're all full of it.
And
Hiramatsu was the name of his friend who committed seppuku
oh yes,
in
yes, yes.
defiance
Matsu,
um,
that rings a bell.
as that motivator. Yeah,
I think
it's
that
a it's
was
a
that
lot of names.
Mariko Sama's husband's dad, I believe.
uh,
Uh, oh my
he
god,
yeah
yeah,
he
yeah.
was that was or yeah that was Mariko's grandfather
Husband's,
or
yeah,
Mariko's father-in-law.
yeah, father-in-law, yeah, husband's
Father-in-law.
dad,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's exactly like Game of Thrones. That's in that sense is what I mean. Like
Yeah, it's a
everyone's,
political thriller.
yeah,
It's a political thriller.
everyone's against each other.
It's why everybody liked Winter Soldier so much.
Yeah,
People
political
like
action.
the problem with the Star Wars prequels wasn't that they were about politics, is they were bad about politics. It's like when a show has got
I don't know about that.
approaches.
I really like their politics, but yeah,
I
I
just
get the
didn't think
point.
they. I don't think they made it very interesting. I think they made the politics boring in the prequels and made it better in later stuff. Anyway, but like Game of Thrones did the political intrigue stuff really well. Winter Soldier did the political intrigue stuff really well. The West Wing, like we've seen this before. When political drama is done very well, people eat it up.
Mm. And in a new setting, and in a brave setting, in yeah, just unique,
Yeah.
something that's not known to general audiences, as you said. And I would love that. I would love that different perspectives throughout history. It doesn't have to be from the obviously. colonialism roots. Like I said earlier, it
Sure.
goes from so many
But
different
also
societies
find
and
me a point
cultures.
in
But
history where that's not going on.
yeah, no, I mean it could be via
Yeah.
Romans, Greek, anything like that. I mean, although they were Christian as
It's
well, but like there's other races
yeah.
as well.
It's
The
frustrating too
Spanish
because it's like
Inquisition. I don't know.
I'd love another season of this, but obviously
Yeah,
it's never going to happen. That's the trouble you run in, and I think that's why stuff like this is a harder sell, is because like again, you're having to pitch this already difficult concept to swallow to Hulu, and you're telling them, and it's only going to be one season. You can't get more out of this. It's just based on a book,
mm,
So um, I think this itself lends it. I think this lends itself more to the idea of, hey, if we're going to go out and just start adapting stuff to make movies and TV, this is the kind of stuff we need to be adapting. Like, don't
yeah,
get me wrong, keep adapting comic book stuff, please and thank you, never stop. But like, how many really great books and novels and book series and things like that are there that haven't been adapted, that like are just full of juicy good stories like this that are just waiting for a new audience?
yeah. It's a new audience, and it has such a massive potential range. Like there isn't. I generally don't think there isn't a specific target audience for this show. Like you could be our age, you could be younger, you could be elderly. Like there's no target audience. Like this, it has mass appeal. This show,
I was walking
because
around the office and
yeah,
everyone at the
mhm,
office was talking, and
exactly,
I won't say
exactly,
where I work, but
yeah,
like it just, I mean, the demographic of where I work is so wide and varied, and
mm,
everybody was raving about this
yeah.
show. So
In a way,
I
it is a little bit like a family show. Obviously, minus probably like the sex stuff and the
I
extreme
wouldn't I
graphic
wouldn't show this to anybody under
violence.
the age of 18.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the
well,
dude gets his head just straight up cut off in the second
yeah,
episode. Just
yeah. I
just
mean,
talking to it.
cannons get blasted. Yeah, people get
Yeah,
it's
let's not
quite
even get started
graphic.
on episode 4 when they just
I take it back, actually. Yeah,
liquefy an entire battalion of dudes. Yeah,
yeah.
but this is definitely it's a show that has something for
No,
everybody.
because it has the yeah, exactly. It has the
Yeah,
educational elements of it. It has the historical
yeah.
elements of it about just the how men acted, how women acted,
This
um,
is yeah,
how the Europeans acted, what their thoughts were towards them, what their thoughts were towards the Japanese. Um, just all again from the small things, from the houses to the food to the costumes to what the weather was
yeah,
like. Everything was just a scene after scene. What they did in the evenings, what they did socially.
yeah.
We got to see it all. We got to see it
I,
all, and it was just fun to see a kind of day by day, life of a samurai living
yeah. Oh,
um, in this world. Yeah,
I've never wanted to watch the behind the scenes making of special features on a
mm.
DVD more.
I want to go to Tokyo. I want to go to Japan
Oh my god, yeah.
based off this show.
Uh, like
Um,
I love camping. I want to go
yeah,
camping in those mountains so bad.
yeah. I want to see the
Oh my
buildings,
god.
the way that they shape.
Yeah.
I've seen I'm sure it comes on my phone by algorithms, but like they do Shogun tours in Japan of like
Do
where it
they
was shot,
really?
like
Oh,
like island
I want to go take
tours,
that
Game of
tour.
Thrones tours, exactly the same
Yeah,
stuff.
Chicago has one.
Or like,
Chicago has one for the Nolan Batman movies
oh, okay, there you
because they shot the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises there.
go. Okay. Yeah, they have the same thing there, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And you meet like the costume designers, like when you're on the tour, and they take you around, or the set designers and things like that.
Yeah. I'm
And they
trying to get
take
the
you to
names of some of these people so
locations.
we can talk about them real quick. Like the composers, Atticus Ross, Leopold Ross, Nick Chuba. I mean, the music on this show was truly incredible.
Yeah.
The editors, oh my god, that scene
Mm,
with the translation scene where they're doing so much go between
yeah.
Toranaga and Blackthorn that eventually it's just them talking,
Mm,
was one of the most well edited, well shot
yeah.
scenes I've ever seen on a screen in my life. That
Yeah.
was so like
I
that's
forgot
up
about
there
the
with
editing.
like
Yeah.
it's up there with like the Hunt for Red October when they switched from Russian to English mid
Right.
sentence, and like it's like that's up like that's such a great smart way
Yeah.
of getting around the language barrier without having to devote an extra long scene to a lot of back and forth with people talking.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely, I can't believe I forgot about the editing. Like, I would
Yeah.
look forward to how they gonna edit scenes. Like before I press play on the episode, I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
gonna be really cool.
I was
Like
like,
how
ooh,
just how
Blackthorn's going into a meeting with Toranaga? Ooh,
yeah,
can't
it's
wait.
like how are they gonna work this one? Yeah, with no translator. Like, oh my god.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
that stuff they did so well that
Yeah,
you got
mixed in
excited
with the
for.
music, and yeah, on top of that, who else is going to be in the room? And yeah, every detail about the show is so beautifully made. And I'm ashamed it's so. I'm sad it's over. And like
Yeah.
it moved this movie. This show was a talking point amongst like my friends, my demographic, my age. Have you seen Shogun? Again, next part was about Mariko. Then next part was about the story, but it was about it was generally like a around the water cooler kind of show. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, stop! Have you seen the latest episode of Shogun? And people love it. People love it. All ages, all backgrounds, whatever. So they really, really put so much effort in the show from every aspect, as we said, from the sound design, the action, the editing, the music, the sets. It was all a very enjoyable experience. That I'm sad it's over. I'm sad it's just kind of one season, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was fantastic viewing, a unique viewing as well, and I'm glad it's getting all its praise because it deserves it.
Yeah. Last bit of shout outs for the crew here. Cinematography, Sam McCurdy, Mark Lalaberte, Christopher Ross, Errol Retblad did the cinematography. The editors were Maria Gonzalez, Aika Miyake, and Thomas Kruger. And then the costume design was Carlos Rosario. Well done on that costume design, sir. Every single person, every costume was just a statement. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about this show. Loved it. I won't say I can't wait to watch it again because it's a lot. This is gonna probably go up there with Band of Brothers as like the annual rewatch for me. Like I watch it once a year, but
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to a year from now when I get to jump back into this again. Can't wait.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd put it in that frame, like as you said, seasonal or like once a year, once every couple of years, put it on. Um, yeah, because I've seen even people. I think it was on Twitter. People were saying, or X, whatever it's called, that
Who knows?
it's some of yeah, like some of like one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. I personally
Yeah,
wouldn't say so, but I'm not going to argue with that. Like I fully
yeah,
understand, especially like how it's made. I
yeah,
wouldn't. I would agree with that. As it,
yeah,
like I said, story wise for me, it did dip a couple of episodes, and I didn't love everything about Mariko's story, but that's just me personally. But I do understand like the actual production of the show is one of the best I've ever seen. I will happily say that.
yeah,
Although some of the effects at times were not as good as some other shows, but everything else was like nearly 10
yeah,
in
yeah.
every other department.
If the
So
worst part about this show is that occasionally the
right,
earthquakes
yeah,
didn't
exactly.
totally sell me.
Yeah,
There was a couple times where I was like, we're pulling a Star Trek TNG and just pretending that things are shaking. Okay.
no.
Um,
What got me was the green screen when they're on horses. That was quite a few times when they're in the
oh,
full samurai outfit on horses, and it's just like, what's this blurry line
yeah,
that's around you guys?
yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
really
let that
bad.
slide.
Yeah,
Again, if that's the worst thing I have to say about the show,
yeah,
then
yeah.
we're good.
It's like Toranaga is like probably 60 something, and he's like jumping on horse. It just yeah, it just
Yeah,
didn't look
yeah,
too.
yeah. The guy
It's
who
like
plays him
obvious
is
screen
the
screen.
guy who plays him is 63, and I was like,
Yeah,
he
63. There
does
you go.
not look
Oh,
63.
and as well, he has been a movie star
He
since
was the
he's
best part
about.
of Mortal Kombat, and he
No,
was
no,
on
of course
screen
he's a
for
legend.
five
He's in
minutes.
countless stuff. Lost, Sunshine, things I've watched. He's been a star since he's about 10 years old.
This
Yeah,
guy, yeah,
In Japan, and then
this
coming
guy's a
to obviously America.
legend.
Yeah,
He's so good in
absolutely.
Bullet Train.
Oh, he's in Infinity War, of course. Sorry, he's in
Yeah,
not
yeah, he's
Infinity
Infinity
War.
War. No, Endgame.
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 Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, he's countless other stuff he's done. He's a fantastic actor.
yeah.
But definitely, Monica, you stole our hearts and the show.
Oh my god, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what she's in next.
Yeah, yeah, no, seriously, seriously, yeah.
Cast her in
Mm,
everything.
mm.
I mean, put her in a Star Wars, put her in a Star Trek, James Gunn. You're looking for people for the
Right.
DCU.
And I'll say
Ta-da!
the Blackthorn actor. I think he's got
Wh-
Cosmo or something. He's got
yeah,
like a
I got it right
funny.
here. Cosmo Jarvis.
Yeah, I want to see more
Bruh.
of him. Like I've seen him before. I can't remember where, but maybe some
I
British
looked
TV.
him up. He was in the last season. He was in one season of Peaky Blinders, and
Oh,
like
okay.
he's one of those guys. He's been in stuff here and there. Had a very small music career early on. By the way, if you get a chance to look it up, not bad.
Mm,
He's just kind of been around, and a lot of like even Anna Sawai, who played Marco, like she's been in stuff. But
okay.
this was like this is going to go down as like her as both of them their breakthrough.
Yeah,
And
for
yeah,
sure.
Cosmo Jarvis, like as a fellow velvety voiced man,
Yeah.
every time that guy said the word Japans was like, oh, just the ASMR tangles, baby, would just like, yeah, say that again.
Yeah.
Everything he said was great.
Oh dear. But yeah, definitely interested to see where they go from here.
Yeah,
And yeah, man, I thought it was a fantastic show.
yeah.
Um,
And we know we want to know what you
look
guys
forward
think.
to watching
So
it again, big time.
yeah, please let us know down in the comments what you guys thought of Shogun. I mean, if you're one of the 5 people in the world that maybe didn't get it, I don't know. If you can find something in this show to grab you, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But let us know down below. Let us know what you think. Make sure you guys subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll see you again here next time on Off the Wall, everybody.